I'm here today in Doyle Library, what a beautiful space it is, at the Celebrate Children's Book Festival. Books are very important. I needn't tell you that. Some people think books are boring. Some books are boring. Some people like certain types of books. Other people like other kinds of books. All I can tell you is there's a book for everybody. No matter what you like, there's a book for you, and you should enjoy it because they engage your imagination and they take you to all sorts of strange and wonderful places. And if you haven't discovered the joy of a book yet, can I tell you a story about my son John? John was about 8 years or 9 years of age. He was a good reader in school, and my wife used to read him books, and he had no interest. But one evening she took the first Harry Potter book. I think it was called Harry Potter and the Philosopher's Stone, as far as I know. She took the book into bed and read the first 3 pages to John, and John threw his mammy out of the bed and said, "Give me that, I want to read it myself." Since then, he's an avid reader. He's a grown man now. So there's a book for everybody. Anyway, I'm talking here about Limerick. I'm in Limerick and I have a poem about Limerick for you. Many years ago, I come from a little village called Moyvan in North Kerry, and Limerick was where we go to for shopping. Not so much Tralee as Limerick, because it was a great town, great city. City's a great city. And we used to go to Todd's. It's no longer Todd's. I think it's Brown Thomas now, is it? And there was a place called Roach's Stores as well. I don't know what that's called now. But they had what we didn't have in Kerry in those 2 stores. They had escalators, moving stairs. Now, we didn't know the word escalator, so they had moving stairs, as we called them. And we used to have great fun with them. We'd hop up on the escalator and up you'd go and down you'd go at the other side. And that was great fun while Mammy or Daddy would be shopping. But this is the true story of a boy I taught called William. And he went to Limerick with his mammy, and they went into Todd's, and he saw the moving stair. And this is what happened. The first time I went to Limerick, we went into this big store. They had tons of things for grown-ups on the bottom floor. And Nanny went to sample all sorts of perfume there, when just below the counter, I saw this moving stair. So I jumped upon it with a spaceman kind of hop, and up I floated. But the stair just wouldn't stop. And then when I had gotten up, I felt a proper clown, for the stair just kept on moving. How was I to get down? And then it dawned upon me that I was alone and lost, and I was small and frightened, and Nanny would be cross. So then, I suppose you've guessed it, I let out such a roar that Mammy dropped the perfume down on the bottom floor. And Nanny, she came for me, and I wasn't lost at all, but that was quite a while ago, when I was young and small. That was William. He's a big boy and a big grown man now. So I wonder here if any of you have ever gone on an aeroplane. I'm sure you've been to Shannon Airport and gone to places. And I'm sure people have been to holidays in various holiday resorts in various countries and going home to your mammy's country or daddy's country or whatever. I'm sure you've all been on a plane. Well, this is the first time we took our 2 children on a plane. It was from Cork Airport, and we were flying to Tenerife, which, as you know, is one of the Canary Islands, a very hot holiday resort off the coast of Africa. So anyway, as I say, it was Tenerife. You want to remember that because it occurs at the end of the poem to Tenerife. And we promised our kids we'd take them to Tenerife, but that they would have to be very good. So they were very good. And I had to be very good too. I had to promise to be very good. Why? Because I used to be a poet, I suppose, and I used to write things. And when I was writing, I would pay no attention to anything or to anybody. The house could fall down on top of me and I wouldn't notice it if I was writing. I suppose it's the same as you if you were watching television or playing your computer games or playing hurling or football or rugby or something. When your attention is on what you're doing, you don't notice what's going on around you. So I promised for the time that I was in Tenerife that I would not write any poems. And I meant to keep my promise. So we got on the plane anyway, and Nessa got very excited. Nessa was about 5, and she got very excited, and Nessa's our daughter, and I decided that I had to break my promise. I got excited too. I have to write about this. But I had no pen. So I borrowed a pen from my wife and I had no paper. But in some aeroplanes there's a pocket in the seat in front of you where there's a magazine and there's a bag as well. A kind of a shiny bag. The bag is really where if you want to get sick you can get sick into it. So I got the sick bag out of the plane, tore it up into a page, a big page, got the pen and wrote the following. Nessa's first flight, 5 years of age. I love you, Dad, I love you. I love this massive plane. It looks like a big fat pencil case. Air Spain is it, Dad? Air Spain. This airplane's exciting. It's noising up to go. Will it drive as fast as you, Dad? But Dad, we're going slow. We're driving through our runway, dear, and then we go real fast. Faster than even I drive. Whee, Dad, whee, at last. We're going really speedy. When are we going to fly? Wow! Up, up, up we go, Dad, way up in the sky. What's happening to my ears, Dad? That's funny, I can't hear. Well, kind of. What do you say, Dad? There's something in my ears. Sucker sweets will help you. It's a good idea. Who's Eddie, Daddy? Eddie. I said it's a good idea. Look at the clouds now, Nessa. We're coming to them just. In a minute we'll be through them. Dad, it's like they're made of dust. The clouds are awful dusty. I can't see a thing. Just dark outside my window. Now what's happening? We're above the clouds, the sunshine. Sit back now and relax. It's 3 hours to Tenerife. Let's have a little nap. Daddy, we're not moving. Look down at the sea. It's not moving. We're not moving. This is boring. I have my wee. Daddy, where's the toilet? I'm bored with this old plane. Look out the window, Nessa. Look down and you'll see Spain. Daddy, where's the toilet? Is there any on this plane? Okay, I'll take you. Daddy, we'll go over Spain. When I was at the toilet I made poops as well as wee. Where did the poops go, Daddy? The poops I made, the wee. Did they fall down on some Spanish man way down below? Where did my poops go, Daddy? Where did my wee go? What's next after Spain, Dad? Will we get our dinner soon? This aeroplane's exciting. How far up is the moon? Dad, my ears are popping. Is everything all right? Daddy, oops, I chewed my sweet. I got such an awful fright. But it's okay now, Daddy. It's just a plane going down. Daddy, Tenerife. Dad, is this our town? That was Nessa's first flight. Now I'm going to go to something slightly different. Maybe a bit sad, but it's no harm to express sadness as well. And you'll also notice the poems I've read for you so far rhyme, but not all poems have to rhyme. In fact, most poems nowadays don't rhyme. It's just that I'm a singer and I like to rhyme, but I also write what they call free verse poems that don't rhyme. This is a story about my son John and his grandfather, my father. My father died very suddenly one day, 20 odd years ago. And he'd been in the whole of his health and he died very suddenly and we were all heartbroken. And John was heartbroken, so I said to John, a few weeks later, he was still heartbroken, I said, why don't you write to or about your grandfather? Believe me, writing will help you. And that's an advice I give to anybody out there who's feeling sad or with stuff they can't say, write it. It will get it off your shoulders. So John got a tape recorder and spoke about his grandfather into the tape recorder. Sometime later, Radio Kerry, our local radio station, ran a competition for children to write about their best friend. And John said to me, Grandad was my best friend. So I said, John, if you like, you can take the tape, give it to me, I'll type it up in the computer for you, you go back over it, revise it and edit and redraft it as you do in school, and the best of luck to you. He sent it away and he won. So he got the Radio Kerry and he got his prizes, but best of all was he got to read his story out of a Radio Kerry. And then of course I was very impressed by his story, so I asked him, I said, John, and John was 9 years of age, I said, John, do you mind if I make a poem out of your story? And at 9 years of age, being a cute Kerryman, he said, how much will you give me? So I said, I'll give you £50, it was old money, I'll give you £50 when the book is published, which I did. So here it is, my best friend. My best friend was Grandad. I used to stay at his house on Friday nights and that was great fun. He used to take me to the chipper after the 9 o'clock news and he'd buy 2 cartons of curry chips and 2 sausages, and we'd eat them in his kitchen during the late show. He used to come up to our house on Sundays for dinner, and I'd always want to sit beside him at the table. I remember one Christmas, I had just got a snooker table. Grandad came up for Christmas dinner, and I had asked everybody else to play with me. They all said no, they were too busy. Grandad was in the middle of setting the table, and I asked him to play, and he said he would. He came over, and I actually had to place the balls for him. It was so long since he had played snooker. Well, Grandad was my best friend. He was so kind. He was just unique to me. Like, he didn't know much Irish, because when he was young he hadn't much time for school. He had to help at home on the farm, he said, and at 14 years had to hire himself with farmers because he had 13 brothers and sisters and times were bad. But I often did my Irish homework with him, and he always ended up right. I remember the day Grandad died. It was March. I can't remember the date. He rang Mum and said he thought he was having a heart attack. We rushed down to his house. We got there in 2.5 minutes, and when we went in, we found Grandad lying on the floor moaning. And then he just died. And I was below in the room crying, and then Mum and Nessa and Dad started crying too. At the funeral parlour I forgot myself and said, I'm sitting beside Grandad. But Grandad was in his coffin. He was dead. It was finally till they closed the coffin, and then I knew I'd never see him again in this life. Goodbye, Grandad, my best friend. Goodbye. Goodbye. So that's the story of the Grandad. Now, I'm going to get a bit happier than this. I thought in a little video. I began teaching in County Wicklow in 1972 to 74, and then in 1974 and 75 I taught in Limerick in Cahergavin, and then from 1975 until I retired in 2007 I taught in the village of Myvan, where I'm from myself, in the primary school, and I really enjoyed it. Children are great. You're really great people to be with. You'll make the job worthwhile. It's not the inspectors, it's not the boards of management that teach them worthwhile, it's you, the children. But anyway, I had a great experience. I used to get the children to write about themselves. And they'll all say what they'd like to be when they grow up and what made them happy, and mammies and daddies and their pets. But one child wrote an extraordinary piece for me, and I asked her permission if I could make a poem out of it, and this is what she said. Do you live in a house with a proper address, and wear proper clothes, not my hand-me-down dress? Though you think that you're better than I'd ever be, and look down on our equals, I'm proud to be me. Isn't that wonderful? You should be proud to be yourself. No matter where or what, you should be proud to be yourself. Now, I'm going to read a poem about shopping. The one thing I know about you, particularly the girls, is that the older you get, the less your mother knows about fashion. Because when you go into a fashion shop or a clothes shop to buy clothes, the clothes you want to wear or what you want her to buy for you, she won't buy for you. And the clothes she wants to buy for you, you wouldn't be seen dead. I know that. I've been there, done that. Again, this is in Limerick. Brenda, my wife, and myself, and our daughter Nessa, she would have been about 12. We're going into a clothes shop in Limerick, and they had a row over the clothes. So I sat down in a chair, got a piece of paper, pulled out a biro, and wrote the following. Shopping with Mammy. Shopping with Mammy is a definite no. She may have been cool, but 'twas long, long ago. For the things that she says would look good on me, I just couldn't bear my buddies to see. It even makes uniforms not look so bad. Next time I think I'll go shopping with Dad, for he doesn't care whatever I pick. No, he doesn't care, just as long as I'm quick. But shopping with Mammy is a definite pain. I'll never go shopping with Mammy again until the next time. There we are. Now, as I said, I taught in school, and I taught all classes from 1st up to 6th, and I finished my career as principal teacher there, teaching 5th and 6th. And in 5th and 6th particularly, when they'd be going sort of 11, 12, 13, the boys especially, they were a pleasure to teach. And I was really, really proud of them. Some of them especially, they came from homes where the parents had no interest in school or education, and the parents wouldn't get up in the morning to get their breakfast and get them dressed. They'd leave some money on the counter to go up to the local supermarket to buy food. At that time they had what they called a super jumbo roll, a jumbo breakfast roll, where you got a roll and they'd put sausages and pudding and rasher into it, and they'd go up to school and they'd have their breakfast in school. Coca-Cola, there was no Red Bull that time, Coca-Cola and this jumbo breakfast roll. And you know, they came to school every day. They didn't have to. They could mitch, they could stay at home, their parents wouldn't mind. But they came to school every day. And sometimes they get into trouble for messing and not having their homework done. But they still came to school, and I really admired those guys. And you know, a lot of them are still around the village at home, and they're workers, they're carpenters, or they're mechanics, or they're fitters, or, you know, some of them are on the dole, admittedly. But I can walk into a pub in my van and drink with those fellows, because they understood me and I understood them, and we were good to and for each other. So I wrote this poem called A Boy I Know. Now it's not just one boy, it's several boys that I rolled into one. A boy I know. He rises every morning, gets up all alone. No one up to wake him, he does it on his own. No one makes his breakfast, they leave him cash instead, and he goes up to the local shop to be fed. A can of Coca-Cola, a jumbo breakfast roll, that's what he has each morning on his way to school. In school he gets in trouble, in class and out at play. No lessons done, disrupting fun, but he goes there every day. I wonder why he bothers. He could just stay in bed all morning like his parents, but he doesn't. No, instead, he rises every morning, walks up to the school, knowing he'll be in trouble when he acts the fool. He gets up unlike the others. I really don't know why he comes to school each morning, but I admire this boy who rises undefeated while his parents on the dole leave him to his cola and a jumbo breakfast roll. Now, I'll finish up with 3 little poems that I think you'll like. I know the girls love them anyway, but you know, nanas. We call them nanas in Kelly. You probably call them grandmas or whatever. Grandmothers anyway. And you know, the whole purpose of a grandmother is to spoil the grandchildren, isn't that right? You know that, don't you? Grandmas spoil their children, because when Mammy says no more sweets, Nana says, oh, come on, give her the sweet. Or when Mammy says, you know, no more television now, do your lessons, Grandma says, or Nana says, you know, let her watch her favourite program. So this is Katie, our granddaughter, now 10 years of age, Katie Crowley, at 4 years of age, describing her Nana. Nanas give you goodies when Mammy say they can't, 'cause Nanas always give you exactly what you want, and Mammies can't give out to them 'cause they are very old, and that's why they're allowed to be very, very bold. Now, this is Katie. Just get the page, first of all. Katie was 4 when Paddy was born, and she stayed with us overnight in my van with Nana and Grandad for the sleepover. And Paddy was born, and they knew the name. They knew he would be Paddy if he was a boy, and I don't know what name they were going to call the child if it was a girl, but we knew it was going to be Paddy when he was born. And we took Katie in to see Paddy, and Paddy was asleep in the hospital in Tralee, and Katie got very shy. She held back for a while, but then she went over, and she did the nicest thing you've ever seen. She went over to a little bag of teddies, she took out her favourite teddy, and gave it to Paddy as his first present. So I wrote this for Katie and Paddy, a baby brother for Katie. The first time I saw Paddy, I was very shy, but before long I got used to him, and gave him for a toy one of my own teddies. I placed it by his head, but he was very fast asleep in his little bed. Yes, he was very fast asleep. I rocked him once or twice, 'cause he's my little brother, and he's very nice. Yes, he's my little brother, and we love him, yes. But still I'm Daddy's little girl, 'cause I'm my dad's princess. And I'm going to finish up with a new poem. I stopped writing poems a while ago, but this one came to me. It's the only one I've written in the last 4 years, and it's certainly the last poem I write because I decided to stop. But Paddy, our grandson, was playing with caterpillars I wouldn't believe that. Picking them off the trees and holding them and rubbing them and putting them back in the trees. And I wrote a poem about caterpillars. And it's a really happy poem, and I'd like to finish up with a happy poem called Caterpillar. The caterpillar talking. I'm just a caterpillar made of fur and goo. And though you think I'm ugly, and I think so too, yes, though I think I'm ugly, and I feel like I could cry, someday I'll be beautiful. I'll be a butterfly. Thank you very much. Goodbye.